Hello everyone and welcome back. This video is going to be a little bit of a departure from my typical videos on guns, and instead we're going to be talking about an e-bike. And now typically I don't, I guess the word might be shill, but I don't take free product to do a review. I've been offered many times, but I usually do not do it. In this particular instance, I said, you know what, this kind of fits what I'm doing, so I will take this. So yes, this is a paid promotion, and so in the video link below you will see some links or affiliate links, so if you end up buying something, I'll end up getting a little cut of that. Nevertheless, this fits my profile for this particular time, just because I'm going to go on an elk hunt here in about a week, and an e-bike is potentially going to be useful for getting the animal out of the mountains. So anyways, I agreed to this, but I thought maybe I will consider doing this not from just the specs and all that stuff, but more of a if you're looking to buy an e-bike for the first time, you really don't know what you're looking for. I've looked at a ton of videos out there because I was actually looking for an e-bike. The people talk to you like you are supposed to know what all of these things mean. And so I'm going to try to break it down on a simplistic level, kind of, as much as I can, to try to help those people that are looking to buy a bike for the first time, an e-bike that is. So with that, let's get into it. So first I need to tell you about the specs on this. However, they're kind of lengthy, so I'm going to put them in the video description below. So if you want to read on them, that's for you to look at. Now, what I will say about this thing is the motor on it is 110 nanometers worth of torque. That's a lot of freaking torque. I've been looking for an e-bike for a while now, trying to shop. I can't figure out what I want, what I don't want. But I can tell you this, 110 nanometers of torque for mountain bike, and I'm doing basically trails that are kind of like this. This one's pretty smooth that I'm on right now, but a lot of them are really, really rocky. I grew up around the Austin, Texas area, and there's a ton of mountain bike trails here, and a lot of them are really, really rocky. So having a mountain bike that has a little bit of torque in there to help you get up those hills is nice, but I think this one has so much that it's just a little much. And I'm going to go straight into that right now. So if you come over here and you look at the power assist, which is what PAS stands for, I got it in 2 right now. 2's fairly, it's okay, it's doable on these trails. 3, it's a little too fast. You're gonna get pushed. I mean, really pushed. It's like having your big sibling trying to teach you how to ride a bicycle and pushing you too much. Like, there's a couple of times when I actually rode off the trail because I could not make the turn easy enough because the damn thing was going too quick on me. So this one has some power assist that is just crazy. I've tested out one other bike that was, I believe, an 85 newton, 85 newtons of power, of torque, and it seemed to be a lot better. So when you're just, it gives you the assist that I was looking for, not the push. In fact, you could put this bike in gear 1 and roll with it. Never put any kind of torque on the pedals at all. Just crank it, and it's going to do maximum speed of the power assist that you're in. So if you've jacked with the controls and got it to do its maximum speed of 36 miles an hour, you can put this thing in gear 1, power assist 5, and just sit there and gingerly crank, and you're going to do 36 miles an hour. It's no different than using the throttle. This comes with a throttle. Most of these mountain bikes that are e-bikes do come with a throttle right here, and this one's a twist throttle. I'm going to put it in 0 because otherwise, if I do it right now, it's going to take off on us. So it twists right here. Others have like a push button, a thumb, but this bike here comes with a light, a horn, and then the controls and the display. They're pretty much the same. If you were to hack into them and look around, you're going to see the functions are pretty much the same. It's just how they present it to you. first of all, you want to decide what you want to use it for. In my case, I'm riding trails. In this particular bike here, which like I said was given to me, I'm going to use this on an elk hunt. And the main reason I wanted it for the elk hunt is because it has a carrier on the back, so I can strap on a backpack or supplies or whatever, or maybe a piece of the elk to try to transport it out of the mountains. So that's the reason I went with this. Plus, it has the 4-inch wide tires. 4-inch wide tires, it is a little bit more comfortable to ride than your typical 2.5, say your typical mountain bike tires. There's something about these fat tire bikes, you gotta have them aired up to a nice pressure when you're on the road. Otherwise, the sidewalls are kind of squirrely and it feels like you're gonna crash at every turn. But when you get off road, you gotta take some air out of them, because the rocks and the unevenness will just beat the snot out of you. So I've taken mine down to 20 pounds when I'm off road. I can feel the difference when I get on the concrete and drive on a flat surface. You know, it just doesn't respond as well. From a beginner standpoint, from what I've read, there's 2 different methods for motor placement. This has a hub motor. There's one called a mid-train or mid-power. I can't, the words escape me now, but the motor is basically in here. Those are the bikes that you're going to see a lot more price-wise. They're going to be in the thousands, like $2,000 to $15,000 to $20,000. The hubs are a lot more prevalent, and I think these are going to be better for general riding versus if you're going to do hardcore mountain bike, you want the mid-drive motor. And that one, it makes sense because it's going to give you the extra help it takes to crank those cranks to get your wheels actually going, whereas this one is almost like it's pushing you. This is just my interpretation on this, so just keep that in mind. This particular bike has full suspension, which is very nice. I still find myself standing up over the rough stuff. And then front suspension, which is basically a must-have these days. The technology's been out for so long. The front does feel a little goofy if you hit just the front brakes. It feels a little wonky. The back is spongy, but I find it comfortable enough for just everyday riding on semi-bumpy roads. On this type of stuff that I'm riding here, this section here is really, really smooth. When it gets really rocky, you'll want to stand up out of the saddle. Speaking of that, it does come with a nice saddle on it. I found it was a little too wide for me, for my butt, so I wanted to go with a more traditional, what I'm used to, you know, hardcore biking style. So it's very narrow. And then I went with a longer seat post. So if you look at other people doing videos on this type of bike, their legs are not perfectly straight, so they're not getting the pressure, the power that they should be getting out of each crank. But they don't need to. It's an e-bike, you know. They just have to crank the wheel and the motor does the rest. For me, I'm using pedal assist 1 most of the time just to get a little bit of oomph. But I need my seat up so I can get maximum stroke on my legs. So I needed a longer seat post. So I went with a little bit longer seat post. I'm just under 6 feet tall, so about 5'11". And this bike is big. Multiple times I went to throw my leg over it and caught the rack on the back. The step through one, there's another one. It may be the M1. This is the M2 Pro. I don't believe it has that crossbar. That may be a better choice, actually, so you can just step through it. But so far, with that modification of with the seat and shifting it back and forward and backwards until I found the right geometries for me is what I was looking for. It does come with some aggressive looking pedals. I do SPD pedals, the old school Shimano style. These are normal pedals on one side, and then it has the SPD on the other side. Those are not too much, so if you want to have the option of both, go for it. Okay, when it comes to brakes, there's a few different brake sizes out there. I'm not going to talk about the old school V-brakes and cantilevers or all that stuff, because pretty much everybody does disc brakes these days. In my readings, there's 140 millimeter, 160, 180, and 205. And that means the diameter of the actual disc itself. This is a big bike. 90 pounds. It's freaking heavy. If you're gonna put it on a bike rack, you're gonna need a buddy to do it. I'm just saying. Plus, with all that weight comes, you need to be able to stop it. This has 180 discs on it. It could probably use 205s. It is a mechanical brake. You can tell by looking at the cable right here. If it was hydraulic, it wouldn't have that cable. But hydraulics might help it stop a little faster, but I think just a bigger disc in itself would help. But they're pretty close. I mean, 180s, 205s, yeah, that extra centimeter or so may actually do it. But I think it does need stronger brakes for the weight of this bike. This one here came with the rack on the back. There is another option where you can actually get a rack for the front. The headlight is pretty big, but I will say this, I've used it one night in the dark, and it provides ample light for riding down the trails in the evening. It does have a brake light. You can disconnect that if you don't want it. There's a cable right here. Basically, when you use either one of the levers, it'll light up and kind of flicker. Walk around this side. I like the derailleur protector right here in case your bike falls over. You've got a little protection as far as bending that drop out there where your derailleur is. With these battery enclosed bikes, there's no method for mounting a water bottle that I could figure out. So I got one that mounts to the seat post. Now typically when I mountain bike like this, I'm all in, right? So I have tools, patch kit, tire tools, all this stuff. There's no place to put all this, and I'm not wanting to carry any more junk than I already do. So I got this little bag right here that just carries some wrenches. The wrenches are going to fit every nut on here. As far as tires going flat, this is advertised as some strong tires, if you will. I ran over some stickers, your typical sandbars, and got 2 flats. So they didn't hold up very well. There is tubes in these things, and I used flat out and aired them up. After putting the flat out in, I have not had a problem yet. I'm putting that in all my bikes at this point in my life. I do not want to deal with changing the flats on these things because it takes a nut, a hex wrench, or a wrench to get the wheel off. They're not quick release. Same with the front. There's no quick release on your typical bicycle. But then again, it's all this weight. I have to assume they're doing that just to keep that, you keep that wheel on, because if you don't get the quick release on there tight, it's going to have you a problem. We do have fenders, which I do appreciate that, so it doesn't throw stuff up on you. They're plastic, front and rear. One of the gripes I do have is the battery compartment. Here is the switch, so you can turn it off and on, the battery, and then a power jack right there. You can take the battery out. It's right here in front. Let me back up a little bit. It's right here in front. There's a key on the other side so no one will steal your battery. Stick the key in, turn it, the battery comes down, and then you turn this lever right here to release it. It's pretty heavy too. I didn't weigh it, but for this bike, riding these trails, bumpy as they are, this thing rattles. And I've put in some rubber tape up in here to try to cushion it. In fact, some of the video you'll hear it rattling around. Before, I think I've recorded some of the video before, but I've put as much rubber up here as I can to try to catch that rattle and make it stop doing that. Going over to the handlebars, they've got a nice little cant to it. For me, the bend in these handlebars like this is more of a upright riding, cruising style and not the performance mountain bike style that I'm used to. I find it very comfortable though, however, to ride. They do come with these handles, grips for resting your palms on, which are nice. I wish there was a way to put, well, there is a way, but I just don't want to do it, to put bar ends on here to give yourself another location to put your hand when you're riding. But it does both those sides. We do have a 7-speed transmission with thumb shifting only. So we'll press this here with your thumb and you press that here with your thumb. And that's how you change gears. I'm used to the index shifters, thumb and index finger. I will point you away from grip shifting. I find grip shifts very difficult to use, especially if you're trying to switch gears really fast while standing up in the saddle pedaling. Going back to the saddle, the end thing today is a drop post where you have a button, a hydraulic button or something up on your handlebar, and you can press your button and your seat drops. So that's when you're doing downhill hardcore stuff and you need to get down lower back behind your seat, back behind your front wheel or your rear wheel to balance yourself out so you don't go do an endo over the handlebars. For me, with a skinny seat like this, I can just slide my butt over the back. In fact, there's been some times on some of my rides back when I was younger and more stupid, I'd gone down some stuff where my chest was basically on the seat itself and holding on for dear life. I would not do that today. I'm older, wiser, or just maybe we brake easier now. Now, I will say this, if you're on the fence about buying an e-bike and you like to bicycle anyway, or you have liked to bike and you just go, I just cannot do this, it doesn't make sense to pedal, you know, or to not pedal. I like my workouts and all that stuff. I was kind of thinking the same thing when I first started my hunt, but after seeing e-bikes everywhere in Europe, I thought maybe there's something into this. I need to look into this. And now that I have one, it's opening a whole new door of riding because, you know, I'm older now, I'm not as good a shape as I used to as in my 20s. But now I can get out and I can ride longer. I can ride the same trails if I want to that I used to when I was 20 years old. But I now have a little bit more longevity in my rides, so you get a lot more enjoyment out of it. And one thing I discovered the other day was on the straightaways, instead of putting it in a high gear and hauling ass to get that bunny hop over that next tree, you just hit the throttle effortlessly and you speed up to however fast you want to go, and you can get a little breather in at the same time. It's pretty cool. All right, so my thoughts on this, on e-bikes and such. The battery weighs a ton. All of these e-bikes weigh a lot. 60 pounds probably is what you're looking at. So you're gonna have to deal with that. I'm thinking, and like I said, this is coming from the standpoint of what if you didn't need this much range. They claim up to 85 miles, I believe. It'll be in the specs down below. But you don't really need that much range, especially if you're doing this type of riding, which I described here, where it's just trail ride, where you hit 20 miles the most in an afternoon. Now, if you're commuting, this has nothing to do with commuting, right? That's completely different from what I'm talking about here. But a lighter battery makes maybe a lighter bicycle. Do you need that much torque in there? Maybe, maybe not. There's also, is there something in the computer that allows you to turn that torque down? Like I said, Power Assist 1 takes you to the maximum speed. I can't remember what it is. I'll put it in here. Power Assist 2, Power Assist 3, Power Assist 4, they all take you to the max speed regardless of what you're doing. So you can just gingerly pedal that thing and it's going to take you to that max speed. The other bike that I've ridden does not do that. It basically, you can feel it pushing you. In fact, when you turn the Power Assist off when you're pedaling on that bike, no matter what gear you're in, it's almost like you're towing something all of a sudden. You can feel the weight of the bike. That one weighs around 60 pounds, 50, 60 pounds, something like that. It's more of a traditional mountain bike, so I'm liking it a lot more. That one I went out and bought on my own. But this one here, like I said, appeased to me because of the potential for the elk hunt to bring out the meat. I think it has a 500-pound capacity, too. I don't weigh 500 pounds, but if I can get some elk on there, maybe so. Speaking of that, if we are able to get an elk, or I am able to get some footage, depends on how the hunt goes, that'll be posted on my other channel, Texas Native 00, here on YouTube. And this will also be posted on Rumble and Gunstreamer. YouTube is not so friendly anymore. I can probably get by with posting this because I'm talking about a bicycle. But all my other content, there's not a day that goes by that they don't tell me I've violated some terms and they've removed my content, even content that's been there for 12, 15 years. it's gone. Because if somebody got offended for something because I showed you how to change a spring on a pistol. Anyways, I digress. I'm not going to go off on that. Anyways, that is all I can think of at the moment for your first e-bike, looking to buy an e-bike. I hope this helps. Like I said, most of the videos I looked at were people that you already knew everything, and they were going over this new spec that did this instead of this thrust and all this stuff. But I hope this helps a couple of people out there. If you have questions, put them in the comments below. I'll try to answer them. And like I said below, there'll be a couple of links in there that I'll probably get kickbacks if you end up using the links to buy. But looking for a commuter bike that's comfortable to ride, this is the one. If you're going to stick it on a bike carrier and take it somewhere on vacation, this is not the one. Not unless you can do it by yourself. And 90 pounds is very awkward to roll up out of there. All right. Well, thanks for watching. And please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video. And don't forget, go out to Rumble and Gunstreamer. I will put links down below on those. Hopefully YouTube won't take me off for putting that in there too. All right, guys. Next time.